I'm just about to fit the engine in this Spanish 110, and I'm swapping bits and pieces over from the old engine room box that's down here below. I'm not going to do a mischief for the camera, but I had to take off the old clutch mechanism, you know, the lever, because about 4 or 5 years ago, time flies so fast I don't know where I am sometimes, I put a clutch in this. I just put a cheapy Chinese one in, but I noticed something really interesting. This clutch had only done about 4,000 miles, so it isn't, or 4,000 kilometres, it hasn't even done that much. But I noticed something interesting, and something a lot of people have been asking me about in comments, about greases and thread guards and all sorts of stuff. Now, normally, for cold weather, well, for cold bolts, should we say, stuff like on suspension and stuff like this, not subject to heat, I usually use this aluminium based stuff, and it's kind of cheap, but it's better than nothing. Alright, that's the stuff I usually use. When there's a bit of temperature involved, I used to use copper. This stuff here, copper. Now I used to put it onto the clutch mechanism because there's a little bit of heat behind the engine. Not that much, but all the same, a little bit of heat. And I thought the copper was good stuff. I mean, look how liquid it is. How poor can that be? But look what happens to it after a few years. It dries. Look at that. See how it's dried? Now I've just got a piece here that's come off that clutch. Can you see this? Look. It's just dried. There's no lubrication in it at all. It's dried out. Now I put one of my clutch forks in. Obviously it hasn't got damaged, and it was a lovely light clutch, so there was no problem with there. But look extremely closely at the bush. The bush is still perfect at the bottom, which is good news. But you can see there's no lubrication in there, and that was the whole point about making these forks. Look closely too at the slippers here. See, they're hard to turn, look. That copper grease does nothing. Now, I'm going to rebuild all this lot before we fit the engine. I wanted to show you this too, because this is crucial. It's not that crucial. I mean, it's not as if we're running away from a nuclear bomb or out like that. This is the support tube and the pivot bearing. Notice I put a new one of these in. You can see again how hard the grease is. But notice it's all in cast iron. The later ones, and actually the cheaper ones, were all made in cast iron. It used to be aluminium base, and this was aluminium too, with a steel pivot in it. What used to go wrong when people put heavy duty clutches in, what did my mate Isaac Newton said? To each action there's got to be an equal and opposite reaction. Well, that was the problem. The heavier you're pushing the clutch, the more you're pushing down on this pivot, if you see what I mean. And what used to happen with the aluminium ones, they used to get loose. And they used to come loose, and this bit used to move, and I've seen them drop out. Interesting. Now also pay attention, man. The length of this, there's several different types of length. Same action, but the 2.5s, the 200 TDIs are smaller, they're shorter. Same idea. I think they're actually the same fitting, but they're smaller and puts all the dimensions out. So I wanted to show you that. Also, kind of crucial, we've done this before, the dowels. Make sure you've got the dowels. They fit in the back of here, all right? These two here, not that one. That's where your pivot goes, through these two here. Make sure those are in. What I'm going to do, I'm going to crawl underneath here, fit all those parts. I've already got the dowels and the bellows in there. You can probably just see down here that I've got the clutch fork. Where are you now? You're over there, aren't you? That's it. I've got the clutch, not clutch fork. I've got the clutch master cylinder tied off, because I'm going to take that cylinder off and just check, see what the seals are like, because that's been on quite a long time. Let me see if we can See, because I didn't notice this until I took it out. You can see how it's nice and shiny on the outside but rusty at the end. So I think we'll take it out and clean it while we're here. Do so many things as you can while you're here. That was the whole point of this exercise. We can do everything before we put it in. So what I'm going to use, going back to this because I've just noticed it here, I'm going to use this red April grease, bearing grease on the pivots this time, because that doesn't seem to dry out so much. Now Land Rover do recommend lithium grease. I don't know why, but I think from now on threadguard is not very suitable for clutches. You learn by your mistakes, don't you, because you think you're doing the right thing, but I don't know. This has been stored for a long time, so whether it's dried out, I don't know, but there's no lubrication in that copper at all. So you might as well see this the same time as I am. The rust on the outside usually signifies as a leak or a slow weep of the cylinder. And was I right or was I right? Look at that. It's got solid. You see inside? Now can we get it out? Oh, it is moving. Just wait a minute, I'll come back when I got it out. See if we can use a bit of compressed air and push it out. Alright, so we need some oil in that. An old bolt and see if we can knock it back down again. And put some, put a little bit of ATF in it and see if it'll, a little bit will be the operative word. See if we can tap it down. Right, so it's moving now, look. It's tight now. Tell you what we're going to do, a little trick. I know you all like tricks, but it seems to be rusty on the out. It seems to be rusty on the inside here. Let's get some tools. I picked up this little funky gizmo. It was on special, I can see why not. Oh, it's made in the States. But no, it's for actually honing cylinders out, but the problem is the stones don't last 5 minutes. I'm just going to see if I can get it in there and clean up the outer edge of that cylinder, which might be easier said than done. There we go. So we can clean the cylinder up. Oops. A bit of brake cleaner in there. Are these any good? I don't think so. I think when I was chatting to JP, he said the stones are too hard, too rough. Boy, that still doesn't want to come out of there. I know it's time wasting because I know you waste time as well on these type of things. See if we can get it down a bit further. Hopefully we can push that cylinder out. That's better. Don't think you can take rust out with these things. Well, you can, but or deep scratches. It's just mainly for polishing them up a bit. Ah, here we go. You can see there where there's dirt behind here. I didn't change this. This was the one that came from Spain. Now, notice here. Now, JP's got all my pistons and stuff because we're working on a little experiment. But you can see how this is quite deep inside this piston, and there's some other ones that's quite shallow. This is the later one with the longer push rod. Don't get them mixed up. I'll tell you what, while it's done here, I'll clean this up a bit, then we'll have a look. Well, what a surprise! It cleaned up lovely. Now I'm not sure how this is going to come out. And if you can see inside, there's no rust or pitting in that. It's gone completely, it must have been like gummed up on the outside of here. Now, the thing is, it would be an ideal time to clean this bit up and put a seal on. However, as you can see during the intermission, oops, turn that light off. I happen to get from Britpart a seal kit made in India. Goodness gracious me, comes with a rubber, a boingy, and a new piston. I think that piston, no, that's for a V8, so that's out. So I should have known that when I saw the piston. Let's have a look and see if there's another, because there's all sorts of kits in here. I ordered a great shed load of kits because JP and I are working on a little experiment. That's master cylinder. What's that one? Oh, that's a V8 one as well. Slave cylinder repair kit. Well, that looks a better seal. And it's the right one too. There we go. Now, well, might as well replace it while we're here. I'll have to get, to coin a phrase, I'll have to get my prick out. I'll just clean up the bench, I'll get my prick out. Right, first of all, I'm going to take the spring off, because I've got to clean all this lot up. Spring off, clean it up. And to get the seal off is a bit of a tricky, that's why you need a pricky thing. To go and try and force the seal up a little bit with your fingers so you can get in there, hook it over the top and take it off. Now, I'm going to clean these bits up, then we'll compare it with a new seal. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So I've cleaned the parts up. In this side we've got the new seal and that side's the old one. I've just got a bit of paper towel behind here so you can perhaps see clearly that this new one's got such a more pronounced lip than this one. This one seems a bit parallel, but this one right kicks out a little bit, so we're going to fit this one. Vapor Honey machine makes a superb job of these things. Look at that. That's like new, isn't it? So, which way around do they go, Mike? Well, a lot of people have made this mistake. They've actually put the seals in backwards, you know, sort of like that, so that the lip is towards the front of the cylinder. It goes towards the inside so that the pressure behind it just opens it out a little bit and makes a better seal. Got that in it. Watch this be the wrong size. So there we go, just simply slip it over, try to get it square. Oops, not like that. There we go. That's the seal on. Now where's the spring? There's the spring. Spring the sprung. I'll clean it off with a bit of brake cleaner. No, old boingy. There we go, that's that done. Now, not ordinary grease but brake grease. Now don't get confused because I use red grease on the other piece of kit, on the rest of the stuff. This is just specially for rubber. Don't put these in dry. And as you can see, I'm blathering it on. You know, I'm not going to take any risks with that. And we'll put some right down at the bottom for the push rod to get into. That's going to be lovely. And you can see we've got plenty of grease on there. Look at that, that's what I want. And then we put the cover on. That's if it's going to go. Wow, this is a tight one. Oh boy. Doesn't help if you've got grease on your hands. How the hell is that supposed to go into there? Bloody hell. That was Indian. I wonder if I put it in the right bag. Yep. What's it going on? There we go. Oh, no water's going to get in there. That is a rebuilt cylinder. I think we might just split this video up here and just show you the pre-assembly before we put the engine in. Always make sure that these bleed screws are clean. There's not any muck in it. It should have a cap on it. We'll find a little cap for it once we've got it on. And I'll tell you later when we fit this, this goes to the top, not to the bottom. You know, right? This goes to the top. And that allows air coming down. Where have you gone now? Air coming down from your pipe goes in here and come out at the top. If you put it upside down, air just sits in here and can't get out. It makes a pocket. Rookie mistake. Anyway, that's that done. That was a cheap job. Let's go and get it bolted on, and I'll show you the assembly. We are in the engine bay. Brum brum. Don't forget to put this spacer on. It's sometimes missing. I personally don't know what it actually does, but it had one, so I'm going to put it back on. Right, so we've got that greased up. We've got the clutch fork in. We've done that before, so that's kind of easy. Hold here. Push it in. There we go. And make sure the bleed screw is at the top. There we go. So that's roughly in place. Now, seeing this isn't a moving part, we're going to put some aluminium thread guard onto these bolts, because we don't want these seizing up or stripping. We want a little bit of lube on those, and they are blind holes. We've talked about this in the comments. Don't put copper grease or anything like that into blind holes. Oh, wait a minute, better put the pipe on first, eh? Yeah, no, I'll come back in a minute. I'll put the pipe on because it's going to be easier. Right, now I've got the pipe back on. Always be careful with bolts going into aluminium. You can use your zippy gun to take off bolts, but not to put them in. Now, I wonder what the fluid level's like. Never checked it. Typical, can't get cap off. Having made sure that there's plenty of fluid in the cylinder, we can now come to the master, slade, open it up, and hopefully with a bit of luck it will bleed itself through. Knowing my luck it won't. Is it going to go? Yep, there she goes. That was easy, wasn't it? Professional, you see. Now, fit the bearing. Some grease on the inside. Grease on the little slippery bits here. Yeah, I was disappointed in that copper stuff. I'm not going to use that anymore. Yeah, fit the bearing. And that's it. Yeah, look at that, it's like a dream come true. Right, so we've established that's alright. Now the next thing we've got to do is take out, well, we've got two dowels in here. I think I'll take the other dowel out the engine. Yeah, because that's going to be easy to get out, and I haven't got any tools here anyway. So let's go and fit the clutch. But I think yeah, like I say now, we've done that assembly. So we put new seals in, greased it all up, got it all ready to go. Put a little bit of grease on these splines here and on the bush. It doesn't need that much because you don't want grease flying all over the place. And then we'll start to fit the engine.